I would say in terms of timing, brunch has very strict rules. Brunch, as an overall endeavor, as an outing, it's pretty lax, right? But in terms of timing, I think things are pretty rigid, pretty strict, because think about it. If someone's like, hey, you want to go to brunch? I'd be like, oh my God, yeah. What time are you thinking? If they say 8, I mean, that means you just invited me to breakfast. Do you know what time brunch is? It's not 8. That's like someone being like, oh, do you want to do dinner? And I'm like, yeah, what time? And they're like, I don't know, like 1. Both ones would be a bad option. Unless you're in Vegas, I would say at 1 a.m. is probably a dinner time. Am I right? For all my Vegas heads out there? That's not a thing. But it's kind of like someone being like, oh, you want to do brunch? I say yes to like, what about 8 a.m.? An equivalent of that would me being, they ask me like, oh, you want cereal? And I'd be like, oh my God, yeah, I could go for a bowl. And then they hand me a fork. I'm like, that's not for this. You asked me if I wanted cereal, right? I said yes. I love cereal. I love brunch. But then you hand me an 8 a.m. That's not for that. That's an entirely different thing. If you think about it, brunch can only operate 9, 10, or 11. Even noon, that's lunch. You're now in lunch territory. If a corporate job recognizes that time as lunch, guess what? You're now into lunch. You can't say brunch at noon. You can go to brunch at noon, but you can't say we're going to brunch. If someone was like, oh, where'd you go? And you say, oh, we went to brunch. And they'd be like, oh, nice. And if you add on at noon, it's not brunch anymore. That's why you would never say that. If someone was like, where'd you go? And you said, I went to brunch. You would never add a time if it was noon, because you would know somewhere deep down subconsciously you are ashamed of that choice because it's not brunch. You're an imposter. You're a fraud. They were all right. Those people, all those voices in your head. You guys have them too, right? All those voices in your head that are telling you you're an imposter. They're right. You just validated them all. You jackass. Why are you going to brunch at noon? Just, suck it up. Ask them to lunch. Because you can only go to brunch at 9, 10, or 11. In fact, I went to brunch today at 10. That's right. Right in the middle. I don't like to sway too far one side. I'm a moderate. You heard me. No. But it got me thinking, wait, when deciding when to go to brunch, you notice all those times I picked? 8, 9, 10, 11, noon. All the numbers? Those are all the classic times. Like if you ask someone, oh, you want to go to brunch? They're like, yeah, what time? You would throw out numbers like those. But then it got me thinking, wait, if everyone's doing that, that's bad. For example, I went to brunch at 10, right? When making plans, I was like, oh, you want to do 10? They were like, 10's good. That's not what happened. They threw out 10. I agreed. I'm not about that stolen valor, okay? I didn't come up with the time, but I agreed to the time. I'm very agreeable. You can ask me. I'll agree. And it got me thinking on the way to brunch today. I'm like, wait a minute. When everyone makes plans, they make them for times like these. For example, 10. Everyone says, oh, we'll do brunch at 9. We'll do brunch at 10. We'll do brunch at 11. Don't you dare go to that next one, you sick fuck. But then I was like, on the ride there, I got nervous. I'm like, wait, what if it's busy? What if there's a long wait? And I was like, how do I get around that? How do people get around long brunch waits? And that's when it clicked. We're all making our plans at the same time. That's why when you go to doctor's offices, when you go to like appointments places, they give you these weird like slots. They're like, yeah, show up at 9:20. I'm like, what? So special about 9:20? Is that when all the cool people show up? They're like, no, that was 9. Hopefully they'll be gone by the time you show up. I'm like, oh, that was... Okay, Jesus, it was a rhetorical joke. Didn't have to say all that shit. But this is what we have to do with brunch. We have to stop going to brunch at 10. Instead, show up at 9:43. It's earlier than 10, and you missed the 9:30 crowd. Hopefully they'll be taken care of by then. So you need to pick some weird fucking time, because then you'll miss the crowd. If everyone's going to the 10 o'clock brunch showing, you're all going to be there together being like, oh, are you in line? Where's the line start? Is this the back of the line? Because you're all showing up together. You don't know this, but every time you go to brunch at 10 o'clock, you're making plans with hundreds of other people. And that's why you're stuck at line when you go to, the brunch house or whatever they call it. So we got to stop this. We got to stop going during these predictable times because that's what's causing a backup in America. That's right. That's what's wrong with the country. All these people are going to brunch at inopportune times. In fact, they're too opportune. And everyone's taking the opportunity to do that. And we can't. It's wrong and it should be stopped. And that's why you should vote for me. You know? But yeah, I don't think we should keep meeting at 10, 9. Other times. We need to start making it weird. Like doctors, we got to be surgical about it. We got to be like, yeah, I'll meet you at brunch at, want to do like a 10:27 there? Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we'll beat the 10:30 by a couple minutes. And, you know, I always show up early. So, yeah, it's a good time. We need to keep doing that. This whole, 10 o'clock, it's not working. Now, when I showed up, was there a wait? No. So my theory has suddenly crumbled at the very basis it was built upon. But that's okay. Because as we know in science, we just have to do a bunch of tests. This is what we call an anomaly, an outlier. You can't take what I say into account. You can't take my use case and run with it. Only I do that. Only I can take fringe use cases and pass them off as inexplainable truths that everyone has to follow, because that's how I govern my life. Everything I say is true. And I think more people should believe that. This is a classic joke. You guys want to be funny? Yeah, come on to my funny class. But I have a banger line that I always throw on. Anytime I make a joke and someone's like, oh, are you kidding? I always say, no, I've never... I already fucked it up. God damn it. Class dismissed. Get the fuck out of here. You're making me nervous by looking at me like that. God. See, that's what happens when there's an expectation to be funny. You always fall short. That's why you should never introduce someone as a funny person. Because then, ooh, tell me a joke, funny man. It's like, what is this, a fucking king and queen's time? What, you want me to dance for you like a jester? I don't want to do that. But yeah. See, I forgot what I was even saying. But oh yeah. You know the fun line? This is a great one. This it goes without fail. Whenever someone can't tell if you're kidding or not, they'll be like, wait, are you serious? And it's like, yeah, I've never told a joke in my life. Or like, I've always been 100% sincere in everything I say. And they'll be like, I still don't know if you're kidding though. So can you fucking drop the act and tell me like a real person? I'll be like, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was kidding. My bad. I don't eat crayons. I just sniff them. And they're like, that's markers. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why it's not working that well. Isn't that weird? They should probably get on that. Like, with markers, we kind of figured it out. Markers, we're like, oh yeah, it looks red, so it should smell like a cherry. And then, oh, it looks orange, so it should smell like an orange. Which one came first? Chicken or the egg? Orange or the orange? Which one? The color or the fruit was named first? I don't know. And then they're like, oh, it's black, it should smell like vanilla. I'm like, well, that's... that... But with markers, they got it right. They were like, we should make these... people were just sniffing them. We should make them smell good. I feel like crayons, they kind of missed it, didn't they? Like, why is it that a red crayon doesn't smell like cherries? Or strawberries? Or like red? Red is a smell, right? No, they all just smell like wax. Like, if you melted together a bunch of scented markers... I feel it would smell gnarly. But if you just melted together a bunch of crayons, well, then you'd have a candle. An unscented candle. You'd just have a bunch of wax. It would smell like various museums in San Francisco. What's so special about that? Wax museums? They should get the wax museum people to make sculptures. Sculptures. Sculptors are the people. Have you ever noticed that? They make a statue or a sculpture of a famous person, and it always looks like it spent 18 hours in the sun. It looks gross. Didn't Ronaldo get one? That one looked weird, didn't it? But the people in wax museums, they nail that shit every time. And that's why early late night, shows like Jimmy 1 or Jimmy 2, they would do these bits, right, where they hide the celebrity in the wax museum, and then the celebrity's like, ooh. And then the person's like, oh my God, I don't know who you are, Carmelo Anthony. I don't watch basketball, but This is cool. I thought you were a wax figure for sure, because no way a human's that big. Have you ever looked at a basketball player? I can't fathom that they make people that big. It's kind of like when you look at a baby. You ever see a baby? Like, people have those sometimes, and then they post about them. But sometimes you see them in public because people are very like adventurous, and they're like, I'm gonna bring my baby along with me because I'm a person with a baby. Probably means I don't have that many friends. That's why I was so bored, and me and my spouse got busy. So, you ever think about that? Yeah. Young people with babies, there's no one to even take care of the baby, because the only reason they have a baby is because they didn't have friends to hang out with. So what else are you going to do on a Friday night? So they have a baby and there's no one to take care of it. And sometimes, you see these people in the public with babies walking around, and sometimes I cannot just fathom how small humans, start out sometimes. Like, they make them that size. That's crazy. That's like the first time I bet they came out with a mini cupcakes. People are probably fucking blown away. That's how I feel every time I see a little baby. I'm like, yo, that's like a fucking mini cupcake. I know about cupcakes. Did not think you could make them smaller. That's crazy. And it seems like they have wide appeal. Small babies. I hear it's easier. You ever think about this? This is something I thought about the other day. If going into labor, having a child wasn't painful, like, at all, do you think more people would do it? Like, how many people don't have kids, or kind of like, ooh, you pump the brakes on kids because it just is apparently the most painful thing in the world? I bet if we got rid of the pain, would that kind of like let people kind of like want to do it more, Because they're like, oh, no, if it doesn't hurt, yeah, I'll pop out a ton of these suckers. I'll start my own football team. And then we'll be like traveling. We'll get sponsorships. It'll be a whole thing. They won't even have to get jobs, which is good because I didn't go to high school. Why do you think I had so many kids? But you ever think about that? Like, how much is the pain of labor kind of population regulation? You ever think about that? Maybe that's like the universe's way of being like, don't make too many. Right? But alcohol tastes like shit, and we drink that thing like it's water. So, I don't think pain is really something that's going to put a stop to our actions. We make bad decisions, even if it hurts us. Oh no. The subtext there is very sad. So we'll move on quickly. Speaking of brunch is a classic thing you want to do, right? When you're meeting up with friends of yours that are also in their 20s. Or any age, but brunch is a great time to meet up with friends. And I've noticed something recently, that meeting up with friends is now intense. It's not as a dilly-dally, hands-off, a light time as it used to be. Because now I meet with friends and it's, a nice conversation. We talk about the same things. That's good. But they'll drop little bombs, which is an oxymoron, jumbo shrimp, little bomb. What, just a grenade at that point? Yeah. I've noticed that friends of mine are dropping grenades in our conversation because we'll be talking about ice cream and they're like, oh my God, did you try this new ice cream shop? I'm like, no, I've been meaning to. We have to go. They're like, yes, next time we'll go. And then they'll be like, oh my God, by the way, I forgot to tell you my grandfather passed away. I'm like, what? We've been talking for 4 hours. You didn't think to mention that until now? You know how much stuff we've talked about? Also, did the ice cream remind you of him? Like, what's going on here? But that's what will happen. Isn't that interesting? If you think about it, the way you guys probably became friends was probably really light, right? You guys sat next to each other in class. You noticed that you had the same colored notebook and you got to talking. And you laid down that classic line of a nice notebook. And then, upon looking, you see, oh my God, we have the same one. We should probably become friends for the next 10 weeks while we take this class. And that's how friendships start, right? It's really light stuff. Or you notice, you just have one very surface level similarity, and then you're like, I'm going to base an entire friendship off this. And that's what happens. And things, start very light, and then slowly you introduce more serious things like, you guys talk about very serious stuff like, what's your favorite movie? If you were to live in a season forever, what would it be? Winter, summer, fall, autumn, spring? You start having conversations like those, things start to ramp up pretty hard. You don't really have too many serious conversations, though, when you guys see each other every day. Sometimes, things will get intense in their life and they'll have to talk to you, and you guys do talk about it, but it doesn't really happen that often. There's a bunch of just extraneous conversations that don't matter that happen in the meantime that you're okay having because you're like, we see each other all the time. We don't need to talk about things of substance. But if you're seeing someone a handful of times a year, well, you got to make sure each of those meetings are, you're making progress. You're making headway into each other's life. You got to give each other the full rundown. And so that's what ends up happening. You meet with someone and they start unloading intense shit on you because you're like, oh yeah, I haven't seen you in 3 months. What has happened in this last quarter, dare I say? I've started implementing the use of quarter to talk about like 3 months of a year into conversations, and I think it's really doing a number on me. It's sad. Anytime I use corporate talk in my everyday life, it makes me feel bad. Fundamentally, like I feel like, oh no, this is it. Is this it? Because this is it. But you guys really got to make progress when you see each other. So that's what happens. I've noticed a lot of my conversation with friends recently, right? I'm only seeing these people a few times, in a year. And we just dump huge ones. The other day, someone was like, I'm thinking about proposing. I was like, what the fuck? Another time, someone was like, my grandfather died. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? Then this other time, someone was like, I'm getting a dog. I'm like, oh, well, it's not as serious as the first two. They're like, what? I was like, nothing. Sorry. I was comparing you to other people in my head that you don't even know. You are winning, just FYI. Out of the 3, that's the best one. But yeah, I've been noticing that a lot of serious things get talked about in conversations, which is okay. That's fine. That's natural. That's what happens now. Because we're not seeing each other every hour of the day, so you don't have to, have a bunch of fluff. You kind of just... Your conversations are full of protein. A lot of meat in those shits now. What did this guy just say? He's having a lot of meaty shits? Well, maybe lay off the chili. That's not what I said. But yeah, it's interesting. It's not bad, this thing I'm saying, where you're getting all these intense things in conversations. It's just different. That's all I'm saying. That's a review I've been given a lot. People are like, no, he's not bad. He's just like different, I don't want to hang out with him anymore. And it's not, again, he's not bad. He's just, I wouldn't like to keep seeing that person, I have this line I wrote down the other day. I'm like, friends are like drinks, because I went to a bar the other day with some friends. I noticed they had a drink with nutmeg and blueberries. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, I don't know if I'll enjoy it, but I got it. Because when else are you going to try nutmeg and blueberry? That's an interesting combo. So I said, can I get that one? Can I get the blue nut drink? And they're like, what the fuck did you just say? I was like, that's not what I meant. That came out wrong. But I got this blueberry drink with, nutmeg in it. I was like, oh, that was bad. But I'm glad I did it, because that's the thing. You just have to try it once just to be like, oh, what is that? How do you manage to do that? Nutmeg and blueberry? I don't even know how that combo makes sense. It does actually make sense. I recommend it. Just bad execution on their part. But I feel like that's sometimes what some people are. Where you're like, oh, that's interesting. That'd be cool to talk to them for a little bit. But then after you try it, you're like, yeah, that didn't work. It's not for me. I know that someone likes that for sure. For sure. I can totally see how someone would like that. For me, personally, for me, not my cup of tea. Because I'm not British. That's another great line you can throw down. Another throwaway conversation joke. Say, that's not my cup of tea. But then again, I'm not British. That's a great one. I've never used it. I just came up with it now. But it'll probably get you in a party of 10. 6 people won't hear it. 3 people will groan. 1 person will kind of be like, oh, and kind of acknowledge it. And to me, that's a success. So you can take that if you want. I do not care. And the people in your party will also not care. But speaking about big news that people are telling me about, I also can't I realized, keep track of who is married anymore that I know. I saw a couple on Instagram. You familiar with the app? It's like yeah, yeah, you know the one. It's like newer, but not the newest one. And I saw this couple that was married, and they were like, "Oh my god!" It was the girl. She was like, "Oh my god, 2 years with my favorite guy, since we did the thing." She said it better, but she's like, "It's been 2 years since we did that." I was like, I didn't even know you guys did that. I mean, it's not my business. I shouldn't know, but it just felt like I was late to the party. I was like, oh, did I have to see the first one to understand the second one, kind of thing? Whereas like, oh, congrats, guys. I knew this. You have to like act like you saw the first one just to be like cool when the second one happens. It's just like a sequel. That's all it is. A 2-year anniversary. You can be supportive of it as long as you act like you saw the first one. You can be like, oh, the second one's great. But yeah, I've been seeing that there's people that are married and they've been married. It's not like a new thing. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I knew that. So I can't keep track. That's even another thing on social media. Anytime I go on social media now, I try not to do it too much. But now I do, and it feels like conversations with friends. It's no longer fun stuff. It's no longer like, oh, I went to this, fun concert, whatever. Like light stuff, pictures of food. Now I go on Instagram and it's like, oh my God, rest in peace to my little angel. I'm like, I didn't even know you had a dog. Rest in peace to my little guy. I'm like, I didn't even know you could have a frog as a pet, but that's cool. I don't think it turned out that well because it seems like not a lot of people hopped on that trend. Don't use that one. Unless you want to get rid of a friend, don't use that joke. Also, it seems like it's a very niche joke to use. You can only use that if someone has a pet frog. And like I said, it seems like having a pet frog as an idea, it seems like that idea kind of croaked. It died. Get it? It's also a frog pun. Don't use that one either. Don't do anything I say. How about that? You want to be liked? Don't copy anything I say. But yeah, now I go on Instagram and it feels like talking to friends after a long time because I'm like, okay, can we lighten it up a little bit? Who went to, who had some ice cream? Can you reveal yourself? Because this shit as a whole is kind of depressing. Up there with, better people now. My little angel just gained her wings today. That's right. That 2-month-old puppy that I got, we accidentally crushed her with the garage door, but I know my angel's flying high and free up there. It's like, God damn, it's fucking 8 a.m. I just woke up. I shouldn't open this stupid fucking app. And then, yeah, you see people getting married on there too. That's where I saw that. And this one really fucking blew me away. I saw this girl I went to high school with. She just announced her second child. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't even know there was a first one. What do you mean the second child? Also, you have a husband? Holy shit. Ben, social media, it's not depressing. We're all on our own pace. But it is weird to see how much life is happening like outside of you. As a very egotistical, self-centered person, it's hard to see other people living life. I thought we were all supposed to live it, in a heliocentric theory of life, I'm the sun, is basically what I'm saying, I don't get why other people are doing stuff and having plans without me. How can we allow that to happen? It's blasphemy of the highest degree. Treason, really, when you think about it. Backstabbing, I tell you. But yeah, I don't know. I see that all these people I went to high school on social media, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because I thought we were in this together, guys. What the fuck? But it's interesting. Seeing all these people doing things. You can use that line. Anytime you have a conversation with someone, you should throw that one in. Next time you go to a family event, anyone says, how's it going? You say, pretty good. it's interesting to see people doing things and they'll be like, no shit, I was thinking the same thing the other day. And then you can let them talk for like ever before you say, ooh, I gotta jump to another. Oh, see, I was about to say a corporate thing too. Fuck. I was about to say, ooh, gotta jump to another call. That's not something you say to people in real life. But it's so ingrained in there that I just said it colloquially. Colloquially? Casually? That's what people say. But yeah, corporate jargon has infiltrated my brain like a disease. And I don't welcome it, but it is a forced tenant. It is an exigent occupation that I did not consent to, yet here we are. And that saddens me almost as much as social media. But yeah, I can't believe it. That many people are getting married? Do you guys both know what you signed up for? Like, you ever see that? You ever see someone do something on social media? Like, they go, out and do a thing, and you're like, did you both agree to go to the Taylor Swift concert, or was that one of you? Like in the picture, you see a group of people go to a thing, and you're like, why is half the group not smiling? Do they not want to be there? But then it's like, oh yeah, it's FOMO. You got to go to things. That's another thing I've learned about being an adult. You have to like go to stuff. Even if you don't want to go to it, you have to go to it, or else you'll drop off the distribution list randomly. So you got to like keep yourself relevant. It's like, it feels like I'm clout chasing just to be friends with someone. Isn't that weird? I'm just vying to stay relevant within a small group of 10 people. Isn't that weird? I'm fucking clout chasing at a local level. If that doesn't depress you, I don't know what will. I have to keep like chiming in, being like, oh, new shit dropping. And by new shit dropping, I mean brunch. Those are the fucking releases that I'm releasing. Oh, I just went on a trip. Yo, I gotta show you hundreds of photos that only apply to me. When are we linking up? Maybe that's why people don't respond, because that's the stuff I'm saying. But yeah, it's weird. You have to like remain relevant to a small group of people now. And I feel like I suck at it. That doesn't mean I'm getting better at it either. You ever... That's just an admission of a fault. That doesn't mean I'm going to correct the fault. I mean, come on, get out of here. Don't... Just because I know I have a problem doesn't mean I'm going to fix it. Everyone with problems knows that that's not what you do. And I feel like life moves so fast that, there's all these people getting married, having kids, still waiting on that first divorce, by the way. Maybe it's already happened. I just haven't seen it because no one's posting about that. But I feel like we completely skipped over the fact that everyone we grew up with, for the most part, has a license and they drive around. Isn't that fucking weird? Like, think back to the worst person you know in high school, right? You got it? Oh, okay. Some of you that came quick to. Why are you still thinking about them after all these years? You might want to look inward, pal. Okay? But no, think about the worst person from high school. They have a car. When you're on a freeway, they're driving right next to you. Isn't that fucking wild? We just let that happen. And we let that start when they were like fucking, 15 and a half? Is that it? 16, 17? I forgot when you can like get a permit and like start driving. But that's a thing that everyone, for the most part, just has a license and drives around now. Think about, we don't even have to kick it back to high school. Think about your most irresponsible friend right now. They have a license. They're driving around a car that on the highway is going minimum 60 miles per hour. And they have control of that beast all by their lonesome. Is that not terrifying? Is that not terrifying that the stupidest friend you have is just on the road with you? And that meme that you sent them on Instagram that just is, stockpiling up there in their list of memes that you have sent them is probably going to get opened while they're on the road. That doesn't scare you? But I feel like it's crazy. Life has moved too fast. We didn't even stop to think that, oh my God, the guy in my pre-cal class now can drive. That's weird. That's fucking, maybe it's not that wild, but I find it weird. Like, I looked over at someone driving a truck yesterday. A truck's not important to the story. And I was like, I mean, did you pass? You know, like, he sat in a car with a person with a clipboard, got judged, and then the person with the clipboard was like, yeah, you can keep doing that. And yeah, you can do it by yourself too. That's fine. And you can carry other people in this car too. I was like, really? Shouldn't we run a background check or something? I know, it's just weird. It's weird that people just have so many responsibilities now. And that's what I feel like, when I see someone have a kid, I'm like, do you know what you just signed up for? That's like someone afraid of heights getting in line at Guardians of the Galaxy at Disneyland. I'm like, do you know what you're about to do? Because I know you. You're afraid of heights. That's the last thing you should be getting on, Did you even stop and think about how you got in line? Oh, your boyfriend wanted you to get in line. Oh, okay. Yeah, you should listen to him. I've seen pictures of couples with a new baby, and I'm like, why does the husband look like he doesn't want to be there? What's going on? Hey, Dad, you want to smile a little bit? Hey, let's turn that frown upside down, Papa. He's like, I'm fucking late to golf. What the fuck? That's another thing. I've been watching 20-year-olds start golfing after work. I'm like, oh, so this is how it happens. It's like a pyramid scheme. Except the pyramid is like upside down. It's like a triangle, upside down triangle. It's an isosceles triangle that points downwards because it's a bunch of people recruiting a singular person, and that's how it happens. You're a young 20-something. You start working at the firm, and then your 40 to 50-something-year-old coworkers are like, hey, we're going golfing. You want to come? And you're like, well, I could either go home and have a kid, or I could go golfing. And you start going golfing. And that's how it happens. You get recruited by a bunch of people. That's what happens. See, in a pyramid scheme, you recruit 3 people. For golfing, 3 people recruit you. That's how it happens. And that's what is happening to some of my peers, some of my contemporaries. And it's fucking scary, man. Now, I'm not opposed to golf. I think it's cool. I've done it once. I know. I did a thing once. You're probably like, wait, was he hinting at something? Nope. That wasn't like an inside joke. That wasn't even a surface level joke. That was nothing. I just said it like there was more to it, and there isn't anything to it. And that's exactly what golf is. It's 18 holes and it's hollow as fuck. It's exactly what you think it is. It is a hollow experience for guys to kill a couple of hours doing after work. That's all it is. And I don't get it. But some of my peers are in their 20s and they're getting it every day after work. And I don't know, man. It's weird. I worry. It's like how I felt when COVID was happening. I'm like, all right, it's probably going to happen to me. I'm just like worried when it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's like when. I hope I don't get it when I'm like busy in life, because that seems like it's going to take some time. So that's the thing. I think I might get into golf. Not soon, but I think it will happen eventually. I just hope it happens at a good time. Because right now I don't have the time to do it. Seems like a lot. And then once you get into it, it's like skiing, right? You got to buy all the equipment. And then you start learning all the nuances and everything. And you're like, oh, well, I'm really good. It's just the equipment that's holding me back. If I got this little putter, I think I could really, show the guys my true potential. They just don't understand. If I had Trevor's putter, this shit would be going so much better. So fucking bullshit that he gets all those accounts instead of me. It's like, you realize golf is not proportional to your work performance. Like, yeah, this is fucking so shit that my short game is ass and that's why I'm not getting clients. It's like, no, that's not, again, your golf game is not proportional to your work. That's, there's something deeper there, Trev, T-Dog. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to in life, is what I'm finding. uh, no, life is cool. I'm good. That's my review. Did you were asking, right? You were just like, oh, how's life? Life is cool. It's chill as fuck. Yo, it's fucking brazy though. I heard, I heard someone, a young person, dare I call them, use a piece of slang the other day. I can't even tell you what it was because I didn't even recognize it. I was like, is that English? My hope they were speaking another language because they said something. I was like, I don't know what that means. What the fuck does that mean? And that's happening now. It's already happening. Crisp, prime, age of 25. They're already putting me on the clearance aisle. Can you believe that? I'm aging out over here. But that's okay. I was talking to someone that was like, yeah, I like my bangs because they make me look young. I was like, oh, is that a thing? They're like, well, yeah, it covers wrinkles. I was like, oh, that's a good point. Yeah, hair can cover wrinkles. And hair can give you a jawline. Have you ever seen that? I think Seth Rogen, he said, oh, yeah, he has to have a beard because then he can contour a chin. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. But then it got me thinking, wait, we have wrinkles all over our face. So shouldn't we just grow hair all over our face and then we will never age? That's why you ever look at a monkey? Monkeys have like hairy faces, right? That shit be everywhere. I, it, monkeys look the same age. Like pretty much, like there's like kid monkeys and then adult monkeys. But you can't really, like within the adults, you can't really be like that one's older. Just like physical appearance. Like if they start walking around, you'd be like, oh yeah, he looks like he's kind of struggling a little bit. But yeah, all monkeys look like they're the same age. Like if you told me a monkey was between 12 and like 27, I don't know how long monkeys live, but I'd be like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd believe you. This monkey is 8 years old. Sure, if you say so. This monkey's 22. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I looked great at 22 too. So I mean, yeah, of course he looks that good. Yeah. But summer's coming up. That's exciting, huh? This is a conversation you have with your coworker when you don't know what to say, or you're on a date and you don't know what to say. Hey, how about that upcoming season? And then you start talking about the weather. Everything, if you think about it, every conversation is and I will die on this hill. Every conversation is just derivative of. Did you hear about the weather recently? Like every conversation is basically a subset of a weather conversation. And I think an upcoming season is a direct. It's right there. It's the next step in the flow chart. When you talking about seasons, you're right there with weather. Because then what do? You say, oh, summer's coming up. What's the next thing either one of you says? You say, yeah, it's been getting hotter. Yeah, I'm starting to finally break out the shorts. Have to acclimate and get used to a draft down there. But yeah, summer's coming up. That's fun. That's also another thing that out of touch parents do with their kid that they kind of neglected for their entire childhood. They start trying to get in with little things. Kids or parents that have kind of didn't raise their kid talk to their kids like a awkward person talks to a date. They just start picking at straws. They're like, oh, what is a thread anywhere here that I can just yank on and get some distance? How's school, huh? What was that? what was that friend you mentioned like 5 years ago? Do you guys still talk? No, he went to a different school. What the fuck? He doesn't carpool with us anymore. Why do you think he just suddenly you didn't question it back then? Okay. But yeah. You know what's a weird one to me? I don't get, and we'll end on this. Hey, stop packing your bags. I'm talking. I've never understood any. It seems like it happens so far. The only evidence I've seen is with fathers. Dads never know the name of their kids' friends. What is that? I don't understand that phenomenon. what else is going in? There's that Uber commercial recently where it's like, oh, that's the great thing about Uber. Now that I know about Uber, you can only know something if you forget something. So what did you forget? And it's like, oh, Jennifer Lawrence. Or no, Jen Aniston is like, oh, I forgot I was on Friends. That's the whole big joke of that commercial. Jelly Roll eats a banana without peeling it. Ooh, good punchline. But I don't get it. What you have to forget something if you remember the name of your kid's friend? The weird one, sure, okay, fine. You don't have to remember your kid's friend's name. The weird one to me is like when you guys have known each other a while. Like they're built in now. You have to know it. Like if your kid has a friend of like 10 years, you can't keep being like, oh, how's the tall guy doing? It's like, come on, Dad. He's been to our house so many times. He's in a lot of our family photos somehow, which, by the way, we need to talk about that. I don't know how he keeps getting in there. I've been getting pretty good at Photoshop. I think I can probably work that out. But before that, we need to kind of have a talk with him, strategize, Seems like every time we get together as a family, he's just like, whoop, oh, maybe that's his tallness helps him do that. Damn. It's like natural selection. Shout out Darwin. He's a listener of the pod. But no, that's why giraffes have long necks. Because giraffes were notorious photo bombers. And they got so good at it that other girl giraffes were really impressed and they started mating with these giraffes. And then over time, the longer and the longer necks the giraffe has, the better photo bomber they are, which is more appealing to the girl giraffes. And so they're more suitable mates, they call them. And that's why giraffe necks are projected. If you look at a graph, giraffe necks are only projected to go this way. Get it? Because that's physically how they look, just like that. All right. Well, that was nice, right? And I'll talk at you next week. Okay? Bye.